As a real estate agent, I'm going to encourage for you to consider to be able to focus on lead generation strategies that resonate with you and resonate with what you love to do. So unlike a lot of these other coaches out there that will suggest to you that you should, bang out the phones and call expireds or go knock on doors or go do the things that you don't like to do, instead, consider to identify what are your God-given talents. What are the things that you enjoy doing? So as you consider these, and I'm going to give you a couple options in regards to this, consider what is a short-term strategy that you can employ and what is a long-term strategy that you can employ. And so you want to do 1 to 2 short-term strategies and no more than 1 long-term strategy. And the reason why you want to do that, at least initially, is because the long-term strategy, that's not going to pay off for about 18 months or so. And certainly you have to eat today. So that's why you want to do the 1 to 2 short-term strategies. Now on those short-term strategies, what you want to consider is no more than 2, because now if you do more than 2, you're spreading yourself too thin. So the short-term strategies feed you today. The long-term strategies, they build a moat around your business. Now, from the people that I've coached in the past and the agents that I've learned from, what I have identified is 3 short-term strategies that will probably resonate with you, and resonate with one of these 3 resonate with most. So those 3 short-term strategies would be for sale by owner, Facebook ads, or open houses. One of those 3 short-term strategies that when you employ it will allow for you to get business today. So when you take a look at these, I'm going to explain some nuances of each of these strategies. I want you to consider the fact that that whatever strategy that you pick for the short term and the long term, that it is something that you enjoy doing. It's something that you embrace doing, that doesn't make you feel nauseous. Okay, because most people, if I tell you go out, bang out the phone and call expireds, you're going to be like, not for me. Well, guess what? I'm all about expires, right? But it may or may not be for you. So let's talk about these short-term strategies. For sale by owner, here's my for sale by owner class. If I showed you, or if I told you, I said, hey, I have a seller that 100%, no matter what, wants to sell their house, and they have not yet hired an agent. Would that be somebody that you'd like to meet? Well, if you said yes, guess who I just described? That is my for sale by owner class. Now, let's sit there and say, okay, how do you actually get the for sale by owner to hire you? And this works in any market, including today's market. Right now, there's a lot of shortage of inventory, and I personally am still employing this methodology to be able to take 67 listings last year, and so far this year, in the first 3 months of the year, I've been able to take 22 listings. So it looks like I'm actually increasing my pace. And so this methodology works today. The way it is if you want to take 50 listings in the next 50 weeks, what you could consider to do is to go on one face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly appointment with a for sale by owner each working day, Monday to Friday. That's 5 appointments face-to-face each week. And when you go on that appointment, instead of trying to get the listing, instead of that, consider to intend to get the relationship. Intend to provide value and to contribute to that for sale by owner. In fact, even show that for sale by owner how they could do it on their own. How they could the property ads onto Facebook. If you have a photographer, offer to introduce them to your photographer. If you have resources such as electricians and plumbers and painters and anybody that they may need to be able to get the property in tip-top shape, introduce them. Do whatever you can to help them. And then consistently stay in connection and stay in relationship with them. Because when you do that, then you'll be able to 1 out of 5 will end up hiring you, because 1 out of 5, they don't even want the for sale by owner. They're just doing it because they feel that they have to. That's option number one for the short-term strategy. Option number two for the short-term strategy, Facebook ads. Once upon a time, I got licensed in 2007. One of the first lead generation strategies I did was called Craigslist. Craigslist is still around today, but it's used differently than it was back at that time. And so what we would do is we would list a property for sale in a Craigslist ad, and we would put a URL in there that would link back to our site, our website. And then the user would go, they click on that ad, they come to our website, and then there'd be a forced registration on the second property that they would view. I had a ton of virtual assistants, and I'll do how to have virtual assistants in a different video. And if you want me to do that video, go ahead and put it in the comments and let me know exactly what you want to learn. But I've used virtual assistants for 15 years. So I've partnered with virtual assistants for 15 years. And so we used to get about 100 or so leads a day from that one strategy. And Craigslist got rid of it because they wouldn't let you put your URLs in there. So that opportunity went away a long time ago. However, over the last few years, a better opportunity's come up, and that's Facebook ads. And so to be able to advertise on Facebook, it will cost you about $2 per lead. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. These are the worst leads that you will ever encounter. These are the absolute worst leads that you could possibly get. Now, I got that out of the way. Now, $2 per lead, 99 of them are going to suck. They're going to be horrific. And one will buy a home in the next 45 days. So if I had $200 and I was starting business today, and I sat there and I said, hey, I want to have a closing in the next 45 days, I would simply do this. I would take $10 or $20 a day, and I would advertise on Facebook for the next 10 days. And what I would advertise is listings, and I would advertise property list, and I would advertise anything that would attract a consumer, would attract a potential buyer, and gather their information. And I would, from that $20 a day, I would end up getting 10 leads a day. And within 10 days from now, one of those 100 leads that come in, I would then have my first buyer and the first buyer that's going to close. And I probably even have a few more in the pipeline from that box of 100. So you want to consider, if your gross commission is $5,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, whatever it is, for $200 and 10 days of work and effort, and then consistently following up with those crappy leads, you'll have $5,000, $10,000, $7,500, $15,000 of a paycheck from that $200 investment. So that's option number two. Last option for short-term strategies, open houses. So who comes to an open house? One of three people. Either the neighbor, or a buyer with an agent, or a buyer without an agent. The neighbors, about 1/3 of them are going to be listing their home in the next 12 months. Great opportunity right there to create a relationship. The buyers with an agent, not so interested. Good opportunity to create a relationship with another agent. The buyers without an agent, that's your primary prospect right there. Now, here's the thing. I suggested before that whatever you do, that you do something that you love, that you can embrace, that almost as though if God, put you here on the earth to be able to do. And that's what I'm going to encourage for you to do. So if it is open houses, then guess what your job description is going to be over the next 30 days? It's going to be to do as many open houses as possible. All the way up to 4 open houses a weekend. 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Because you cannot tell me that if you did 16 open houses between today and 30 days from now, it would be impossible for you to not have a legitimate client that's going to close, again, 45 to 60 days from now. And most likely, many, many more. But Dan, that's a lot of open houses. How can I possibly do that? Well, guess what? I'm only asking for you to do 8 hours worth of work over the weekend, plus the driving and putting the signs up. Because that's 2 hours for each open houses times 4. So by embracing this methodology and pouring into one of those 3 options, you'll be able to position yourself so that you can have money in your bank account 45 to 60 days from today. Now, long-term strategy. Long-term strategy is typically going to be your sphere of influence or your local neighborhood. I'm going to really recommend that you do one or the other of those. So to be able to do that, it's about systematically communicating with them with value and contribution, doing client appreciation events, and doing so in a manner that you are consistent and predictable in the activity that you do. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to start mailing postcards to your neighbors and then 3 months from now figure out, I didn't get any business. That sucks. Oh, yeah, it does. Because it takes 18 months to be able to get the return. So my recommendation to you would be, however much money you have in the bank right now that's going to withstand 18 months of marketing, let's say it's postcards, you should have 18 months of money for 18 mailings of postcards in the bank today. And then as you do a deal, now you take 10% of the return from that deal and you put it back into that bank account and you start rinsing and repeat that bank account for your marketing budget. And that's how you're able to build a long-term business that can sustain through time. Now, I only gave you 3 short-term options, and I didn't really dive deep into the long-term options. If you want to learn more about either of those, I do a webinar where I do a deep dive into all of these and show you how I've been able to have closings since 2008. April 2008, I had my first closing. And since then, there's only been 2 months since then, and that was early in my career, that I did not have a closing. And on average, 6.9 closings, and today I'm averaging 10 plus closings a month. So if you want to learn how I've done that and how you could do the same, I'm going to dive deep onto these concepts and more. So I'm going to invite you to a webinar. There should be a link somewhere around here where you're watching. So go ahead and register now. And I do a live webinar once a week. Would love to have you join me and get to know you and get to have the opportunity to be able to help you. Thank you.